Hey folks, let me do a quick ramble. Um, I put up a video by Sergeant Dorsey, a retired LAPD officer, retired LAPD sergeant, had over 20 years in the LAPD, one of the biggest police forces probably in the country, probably one of the most famous police departments in the country. And I see a lot of brothers are so emotional about hearing a female voice, and maybe even politics that they disagree with. They miss the whole point. She's talking about stop and frisk in Chicago, of which she's an expert at, because we had similar stuff where she lived through a whole bunch of stuff, battering rams, basically stop and frisk gang policies, the crack era, all that stuff she has policed and lived through. Okay. She's been through all this. She's been through 4 or 5 police chiefs, even if she had one police chief that she worked under that came from New York. So she knows what she's talking about. And I see a lot of brothers getting emotional, man, about women. But what I really want to talk about is in Miss Ramble is about brothers keep going back and forth about women, about black women. And my job here is to give you lead time of 18 months to anywhere from 18 months to 3 years. So some things that I say probably won't be showing up from the time I say it to maybe 3 years later. A lot of stuff that I said back almost 8-9 years ago, say like $15 an hour, the minimum wage of $15 an hour, or the standard wage of $15 an hour. You know, at the time when I actually said it, people thought I was crazy. But the people that make decisions on this planet, make decisions in the society, were actually getting behind it. That's how come I could actually say that's going to show up, because it was already in the works. So like I said, my job is to give you lead time. And I've been telling you that the gender war, as we have known it, is going to be over. And I told you like a year, almost over a year before Trump got elected, that once he got elected and got into office, because he's a Republican, in the environment that he had to work under, ergo a collapsing budget and a collapsing social safety net, which had to go because there's certain things you have to save. So I told you damn near 2 years ago that the gender war, which I think is small potatoes, a lot of people take it more seriously than I do. I might get emotional about it, but I don't take it seriously, because at the end of the day, it's small potatoes. We don't like it. We think it's important because we think, you know, our emotional family and our sexual lives are more important than eating or having a job, which I do not. It's small scale to me. The black community and gender relations in the black community is small scale because it exists in a larger framework, and it's a larger framework that I look at. And I could tell by the pieces moving in the framework that the gender war, or what we're talking about as far as the gender war, is going to be over, because the environment that was coming was not going to be conducive towards it. While everything that I say is not and cannot be right, the major things that I have told you have already come to pass because they had to. And those are the ones I keep harping on, the ones that have to come, because there is no other option except for them to come. And that is under the best case scenarios. We didn't even talk about the worst, just the best case scenarios. And I've heard ardent black male haters on YouTube channels starting to have come to Jesus moments. That's how come you have a lot more females invading male spaces, trying to learn or trying to figure out what men want. They're not here because they're interested. They're not here because they want to hear what we got to say. They want to hear because now they need to learn what it takes to compete for their men that they know that they're going to need, because They're not stupid. Just like you can see the walls closing in, so can they. And they probably see it faster because they're more vulnerable to it. That's how come all that bullshit rhetoric that was going back and forth is starting to die down. I've heard so many people, my subs and people that did not like me, tell me on Hangouts that what I said 2 years ago, they can now see it happening, because now on not only on YouTube, but on the streets, they're getting a different attitude. Women that would not give them a second look are now smiling at them, because the women know that playtime is over. And what I'm saying to you, you guys are still having conniption fits over bullshit because you've already won. You've already won. You won 6 months ago. But you guys are rolling around in the grass like sheep because that's as far as you can see. It's like a grandmaster telling you how many moves it's going to take before checkmate, because the pattern is already set up. There are no more moves on the board. You're going to have checkmate within a year, regardless of who is president, regardless of what the Congress does, regardless of what Supreme Court justice is there, regardless of what the Fed does or the markets do. It's already baked in. I've given you all the pieces of the environment that's coming. And as they're scaling back jobs that women have, the lowest people on the totem pole first, and it's working its way up, and women can see it. They know that they can't be out here by themselves. Time to start looking for dance partners, which they are now, which there are very few of them. So the men that are good dance partners are having more dance tickets punched than they can handle, which I told you a year and a half ago to get ready, get yourself prepared for the environment that's coming. Now, a lot of you guys thought it would never happen, so you went around doing your regular old bullshit and living your regular life and not getting yourself prepared. So now even you can see that this is coming, and now you have to scramble to get ready. I've heard videos by women talking about cooperation, not submission, but cooperation, which is something they never said they would do. And it's going to be grudgingly at first. But I told you, as far as the gender war, you've already won. Now, if you wanted to be a rout and destroy your women, now maybe you can do that. But destroying your women or women that look like you is only going to hurt you. Now, if you want revenge, if that was your goal in this gender war, which is revenge, I don't know what to tell you. There's an old Chinese saying that if you set out on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. So if you want revenge on your women, guess who's going in the other grave? You, if that makes you happy. But I'm getting tired of black men constantly crying about the same old shit when you've already won. You're talking about liberals and conservatives and Democrats and Republicans and this independent, all this kind of bullshit, man. It doesn't matter. That old saying, there are no atheists in the foxhole. Even the atheists pray to God that they're going to survive the night and not get shelled or shot or bombed or gassed. Okay. And when the environment changes, it's not going to just change for them. It's going to change for you too. When they do cuts, what do you think is going to happen to your neighborhoods? What do you think is going to happen to your communities? Do you think they're going to get better, or do you think they're going to get worse? And there's not enough police to contain it. The police know this. The worst time to police is in an economic downturn, and everything is pointing towards it. Even the rosiest experts in the United States, business experts, are all predicting the same doggone thing, an economic downturn, because the Fed's raising rates. And you mix automation with a declining dollar and an economic downturn, that sounds pretty close to a perfect storm, especially when you add in high debt. And since basically your president or your commander in chief just empty the chamber as far as being able to fund, help you with the budget by giving that money to the corporations and to the military. I don't know what to say. But all you optimists that are out there that are constantly saying I preach gloom and doom and fear porn, you say everything except I'm wrong. It's going to happen. And when it happens, guess who's going to get right? Has to get their mind right, which is women. They got to get their mind right. They have no choice. They either get their mind right or they're out there on the street. Women do not like to be out on the street. They do not like to be hungry. They like to be nice, warm, and comfortable and protected, quote unquote. And the only people who can do that are their men in their group. You guys have wound yourself so far up into this particular conflict of words that your worldview's all fucked up and you can't see the realities that are on the ground. You can see that if you want, if your goal was to get the cooperation of your women, that's already assured. Half of that's already here. Half of that is already here. The other half is already coming. You've already won. They have no more bullets. The last little spark is this MeToo, and that's going to fail. The only reason it hasn't failed yet is because it is a election year. It's midterms. If it wasn't midterms, MeToo would have been dead already, in my opinion. Now, my esteemed cerulean Gray disagrees with me. He says it has 2 more years to run. I disagree. I could be wrong. 2019, I don't think MeToo has enough fuel to keep going, because MeToo is going to get a lot of women put out on the streets, or MeToo is going to get their husbands and their boyfriends put out on the street. They're going to shut that down pretty fast. The old feminists are already trying to shut it down because they can see this is going to be problematic. Because MeToo is going to separate men and women when they need to come together and work together. Because all those chicks that are in college are going to have to hit the streets with no money and no jobs and no prospects, and they're going to need a man to help them out or a man to work with them. This is 2018. This stuff has already started. It's already started. They've already seen them body blows. They already know that they're in trouble. And black women especially, because black women know that if the white women are getting hit, they've already been hit and they don't even know it yet, because they're at the bottom of the boat and they got to come all the way up just to get on the life rafts. So the first people that know that the boat has been hit and taken on water are the people at the bottom. You don't hear them ratchet chicks coming on talking all this shit. Why? Because they're already taking on water. They're already complaining that there is no men. They ain't saying I don't need no men. What they're saying is there is no men. So what I need y'all to do is stop whining and crying so much, because you've already won. And I've been telling you this stuff consistently for 2 years. That's how come you see all these women on the men's panels now. A year ago, you wouldn't see women coming on O'Shea's. Basically women that were on the opposite coming on O'Shea's panel or my panel or Cynthia G hosting men. Wouldn't have seen that. Now you have it. You see all these mixed panels because now the men and women have to come together to figure shit out and cooperate. Now, are there elbows being thrown? Of course there are elbows being thrown. Are women getting their feelings hurt? Yes, they are. Are men getting their feelings hurt? Yes, they sure the hell are. But at the end of the day, guess what's happening? They're starting to negotiate because women know they have a losing hand. Women do not like holding L's. They try to throw back in their losing hand for a winning one. And they're afraid that you're going to take advantage of them in their hour of weakness. They're afraid that you're going to do to them what they've been doing to you, because now it's their turn and they know it's their turn. And I haven't even started in on them. So any woman that's listening to this that disagrees, you have an open invitation to come in on a hangout with me, and I will lay all this stuff out for you. And by the time I finish with you, you're going to walk away babbling, because I haven't really gone in on women. I've been fairly nice because I really haven't told women the cold, hard truth. I've told them when they're being stupid by doing things to actually make their situation worse. And I showed them where the logic was to where what they actually believe is not true. But now what I need is for guys to actually use their brains, their masculine brains. It's called logic. And get out of their feminine brain, which is called emotion, because I see a lot of emotion when I post stuff. I don't know if it's the feminist Prussian school system that have made the men so emotional and less logical, or where I get in a lot of men that have single mothers. And that's where they learned to be emotional instead of logical. Because it's gotten to the point, you guys have stopped disputing my points. Stop disputing my facts and started to give me emotional arguments. Like on my hangout, I got a lot of emotional arguments because I have the advantage of having thought all this stuff out over the last 25 years. It didn't just start. When I had told you that the end of the gender war was going to be over, and then earlier this year, I told you it was over, and I told you that you already won. I got a lot of guys flopping on the fainting couch. 6 months ago, you guys are flopping on the fainting couch. 6 months later, you have to go look for chicks to actually have an argument with. Before, there were droves of them. You didn't have to look for them. They were all over the place. Now you have to go look for them. You have to go find women to pick on. You guys are so bored, you're starting to turn on each other. And like I always say, you got to have faith in me because basically I always say I'm a nobody. So if anybody thinking about knocking me off of a pedestal, I'm not on one. I'll tell you up front, I'm a nobody and an old nobody at that. So having faith in me is useless. Have faith in the information that I put out. Have faith in my track record, because at the end of the day, that's all that counts. And if you have faith in my track record, you can stop trying to battle against women. Stop trying to argue with them. You can argue with them if you want. There's really no argument with them, okay? You give them the facts. If you take the facts that I've presented to you, all of them, I'm not just talking about the shit about men and women, but automation, the budget, the debt, the rolling up of the safety net. You take all that in conjunction and just dump it in their lap, they're not going to say anything. They're going to walk away babbling. They're going to walk away babbling. And they're going to walk away scared. The only way to defeat women is not by arguing. It's not by emotion. It's by research and logic, which a lot of you guys aren't doing. Research is not running from one YouTube video to the next. It's picking up a book, picking up a magazine, picking up a newspaper, for God's sake, and reading. You got the greatest search engine known to man at your fingertips, and yet you still remain uninformed, which I am not happy about, especially my folks. So as far as the gender war, you've already won that. All you got to do is wait for the results to come. That is already baked into the cake. And all these guys talk about we have bigger fish to fry. Get your pan, start frying. Don't wait on me to fry up the meal and serve it, spoon feed it to you. You should be doing your work, figuring out how you're going to make moves, because that war is over, but the bigger one is actually coming. And that one's way more important than pussy, because at the end of the day, most black chicks can't help you. They're looking for you to help them. That's how come they're crying all of a sudden. They were mean and lambasting and nasty. Now they're crying and whining. Their little proof about them marrying white men and all that kind of stuff is bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. Because ain't enough men to go around in the United States, much less black men. And I'm going to do another video later with clips from Kendra, because she did a great video about black women not wanting to run the race, not wanting to compete, and haven't been used to competing for about 50 years. And now they have to, and they don't know how. That's going to be the next phase for black women, not fighting their men, but competing for them. Because other women are already here. It's not even a fact of other women coming to compete. They're already here competing for your men, and they're getting more aggressive. But anyway, I think that's enough of my ramble. I'm going to cut it off. Y'all stop tripping. Y'all stop being emotional. You've already won. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one.